Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be jumping into how to get GPTs like this into landing pages that we can start converting into potential prospects for our business. Before we jump in, I want to point out a couple of things as I got a lot of responses from the video when I showed how to make a chatbot. So you're going to check this out as well. I'll put this up here where we're going to use GPT's model and we made a chatbot with no code and we were able to implement it into our site and we were able to upload data sources to that GPT. With that being said, I got a lot of comments and a lot of people that are misunderstanding what a GPT is. So let me go ahead and clarify that real quick. GPT is built on OpenAI's backend, e.g. GPT-4 is GPT. Therefore, the processes I'm about to show you right now using Zapier uses the same model. So I am doing these videos because a lot of people have requested, how do I access the capabilities and the analysis and the complexities of how, basically how these respond, but in the context of my business and my website. Now, I can go down two paths here. I do plan on going down a more complex path here where I show you how to do this with code and the new Assistants API. But first, I want to go down the path where I can show y'all how to do this with no code and as simple as possible. So that's why I made these videos. The next thing I want to point out is that interfaces and the stuff we're about to use here is free. Although I didn't realize that in order to upload a data source to your GPT, it is $20 a month. So keep that in mind. But think about it. That's $20 a month comparative to hiring an engineer to do this, which would probably cost thousands of dollars. Therefore, you win in a couple ways. First off, you're actually able to access your chatbot and you know how to work your chatbot. Second off, you don't have to deal with an engineer. So let's say you want to add something, you're going to hire that engineer again for hundreds of dollars on the hour. This is why I show these videos. If you're looking for the more complex videos, you can search elsewhere, or you can wait for me to release those videos. So I know if you're completely new to this channel, you're probably just like, what the heck just happened? I just got a lot of feedback from that video. I wanted to make it very clear so people don't feel like they got clickbaited, like, oh, I thought you were gonna do this. I'm being very clear here. The model we're using today is the same model this is. I'm just showing you the best possible way and the best possible solution to do this with no code, as a lot of people don't want to learn how to code, and I don't blame you. Coding can be annoying, but that's why I'm doing these videos. So without further ado, let's go and jump in here. We're gonna go ahead and build out a landing page with interfaces, tables, and automations. This is gonna show you the entire ecosystem of Zapier at work. So first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and come over to interfaces. I have some sensitive information I can't show in there, so I'm gonna just click this. Once we are here, we're gonna go ahead and hit create up there. And then we have a couple different options here. We're gonna go ahead and go to lead management. We can actually start with a template here. We're gonna go to lead capture. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this and begin our creation. So what I wanna show you today is I'm not just gonna develop the landing page. I'm gonna develop a fully functional landing page that does work in the back end as well. So we really can start streamlining our process when it comes to handling leads in our business. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna jump over to contact us. That's how they name it here. And we can kind of get an idea. So this is our template we're going to work with today. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of the settings. This might be a little bit of a repeat if you see me from the website chatbot, but you might learn some new things for your specific business context. So I'm going to go over to settings here. All right, so here's a couple things. We can go ahead and rename it so we can understand the front end. So maybe for this case, we're going to do a software lead capture. And on top of that, we have the option of a subdomain. So this does matter in this context comparative to the chatbot that I did for just the website. This, in this context, is going to be how the URL shows when an individual finds this landing page. Saying that, you could, in theory, do a custom domain, although you would have to pay. But honestly, in the context of a landing page, it's not too important for you to have very, it doesn't. You could do a subdomain if you want to, and you could do stuff of that nature. But for our purposes, we could just put in Web Cafe software here, and this should be sufficient enough. And we'll just have the Zapier.app here. From here, though, the home page is going to be the page that they land on when they go to that URL. So I'm going to go and do this real quick. Therefore, we're just going to leave the home page to contact us. I'm going to save changes here, and we are good to go so far. Going to access and users, we're going to say anyone with the link because we want anyone to be able to be a lead here. Theme, we can go ahead and change this to our liking. You can use layman terms up here, and you're going to be able to get, it can kind of resemble stuff. So for example, you can say like, I want this to look like an Apple website. Let's just actually see what happens when I do that. I'm going to say, I want this to look like apple.com. Now, to be fair, this is not perfect. So keep that in mind. This is not going to be like crystal clear here. But, out of curiosity, I'm actually curious on what it will do here when it comes to a request like that. All right, not bad here. I'm just going to go with default. That actually does not look bad at all. I'm going to hit save changes here, and let's go ahead and proceed to navigation. Navigation, you're going to want to have this be off, and then you're going to want to also, you can have this on actually, and you can include your logo, as you see for branding here. Custom domain, paid. Branding, pretty sure it's paid as well. Do you want to have display? If you do the free version, you're just going to have built on Zapier there. So that's going to be a little label you'll see down there pretty soon here. Tracking, we can actually add a Google Universal Tracking ID here. This is kind of standard stuff. So if you're familiar with basically if you have like a Shopify or WooCommerce, that kind of situation, that's where you're going to put the tracking ID here. And then obviously your plan and billing is where we're going to be able to change our plans and change them on whatever the pricing may be. I'm legacy just because of the fact that when this first came out, I bought the plan. So I'm not too sure on the pricing now. So from here though, we're going to go ahead and jump back over to contact, and we have our new contact page. As you see here, you can change it to your theme and the UI that you choose to have. So let's go ahead and really walk through everything that you may want to add to this landing page. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the middle here because we're going to go ahead and explore the sidebar over here. So first off, we got page options here. This is going to be the page name that you see on your backend. The individual won't see this on their front end. Although this is what they'll see in the little tabs, like if you have Google Chrome, you like the little tabs up there, this is what they'll see. So maybe for me, I'm going to say Web Cafe software. We'll just put lead, but I probably wouldn't want to put lead. I'll say contact. And then this is going to be in the actual URL. So you can change that however you wish. I'm going to hit save changes here, and we are good to go so far for our page options. Now we can come over to add components. This is where we can add different stuff that may be useful in our landing page. So for example, we have these two locked right now, so we don't have to care about that. But for aesthetic reasons, we could add a divider here. As you see here, we got a pretty simple UI over there. There is also some other stuff that may be very pertinent to your landing page, e.g. there is the option, if I can find it, for media. So this is really cool. If you have a landing page that has a video, so maybe some type of introductory video or some type of like context of like, this is what's going on here, put your information here. Also, by the way, I am going to do a chatbot on this. This is where you put your video here. So you got image, you got URL, and then media type, you got image, video, and logo. So in theory, we could put a video here for our thing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that for now though. Coming back over here, we got a couple other options. So this is going to be where you put your titles and descriptions for your landing page. Most of this other stuff like tables, Kanban, most of the other stuff is not important to us. So from here though, I'm going to go ahead and add our chatbot. So I'm going to put it down here, and here is how we're going to proceed. So this is the goal of this video. What I want to do is I want to make a very simplistic lead form here, but I'm going to add some certain variables that are going to be pertinent later on in our automations. E.g., we're going to have a drop down that's going to identify the type of lead we're dealing with. Therefore, we know how to handle it in the post operations. Then following this, we're going to work on this chatbot to be a supplementary advisor. So when the individual were to find themselves on this page, it isn't just a standardized lead form where it's just put your email here. Rather, they have the ability to talk to the chatbot that's been trained on our business data that could therefore lead to a higher conversion rate on our lead form. That all makes sense? Okay, let's go and begin here. So typically when dealing with lead forms, first name, last name is not too pertinent, but I'm going to go ahead and leave the first name there so you can kind of learn some cool tricks when you plan on doing this for your own business. And also, as you see here, we can choose between required and not. So I'm going to move back over here, and let's go ahead and proceed. So looking at the lead form itself, as you see here, we got a couple of different options. We got add CAPTCHA. For now, I can just say off. And then we have the, how wide you want your lead form. Obviously, aesthetically and UI wise, I would suggest you do narrow. Then we have, adjusting here. You don't want this on the left or the right. You probably want it center. And then we have a couple of different options here. So the first thing that's going to happen automatically is you're going to have a table created. So think of a table. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to tables real quick. So here's how I want you to think of tables. Think of tables as Excel sheets or Google Sheets. If you have familiar or you've coded in the past or a developer, think this is basically their version of a Firebase or AWS, which is really cool because it's like a cloud database that we can do really complex stuff. But let me draw it back a little bit. Basically, on front-facing value of how we're going to deal with it and how we're going to handle it is this is going to be a Google Sheet, but a more intuitive Google Sheet. And what I mean by that is we're going to be able to do certain automations within the Google Sheet. E.g., I could put in a check mark here. When I click it, it does something automatically to that lead. On top of that, we can actually do automatic stuff to the lead post submitting as well. So there's like two different ways we can really flesh out tasks here. From here though, we're gonna go ahead and keep going here. As you see here, when the user submits their form, it's gonna navigate to the thank you page. If I come up here, and this is kind of what they see, message received. You can add more stuff here as well. We will respond to you, request you can. Okay, we'll leave that there, perfect. And then coming back over here, then we have the additional action where it's quote unquote, basically this is their version of automation lead capture, email to new lead. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this action because we're gonna make a custom one ourselves. And okay, all right, there we go. I have to remove that. And let's go and proceed here. So no Zapier did not have an error. Okay. We just want to do a couple things here. So I'm just going to put in a first name and email. Obviously, email is probably the most important thing here. And then instead of notes, I'm going to go ahead and add a field here that's going to be a choice between 3 different options. So I'm going to add a field here. We're going to say insert field from table. Actually, we're not going to say that. We're going to say create a new field. And then we're going to do the field of drop down. And the field name here is going to be business size. Okay, so whatever the context may be for your business, these are going to be qualifying metrics that an individual will fill out that basically deem whether they're either even gonna approach your funnel, or if you have 2 separate funnels, or whatever the funnel may be, depending on the context of your underlying lead. From here though, I'm gonna go ahead and just do static list, that's fine. And we're gonna do our drop down options. So it says put each option on a new line. So we're gonna do business size 1 to 10 employees. And I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with this. All right, so once I do that, I can go ahead and create the field here. And if at any time you want to test your landing page, all you have to do is come up to this link here, click it, and it's a live version of it. Also, some things require saving, some things don't. Just keep that in mind. But as you see here, if I click this, now we have the option here. All right, so we either have 1 to 10 employees, 11 to 50 employees, and 51 plus employees. Whatever that specific context is for you, go ahead and input that data. From here, though, we have sufficiently created some type of metric for me to understand personally what kind of lead I'm dealing with here. Now, once we do that, we have our chatbot here. So the purpose of our chatbot here in this context is going to be to kind of encourage our individual to convert on it because they have more information before making a decision on the lead form. A couple of things I want to point out about this. First thing I want to point out about this is no, we currently can't save the entire transcript from that chat. Second thing I want to point out is will that be possible in the future? Very likely. Third thing I want to point out is in the future, we're going to be able to do a lot of complex stuff with this chatbot. We're just limited to basically waiting on updates. I plan on doing more tutorials on this chatbot. Right now, we're very limited to what we can do. But in theory, my end goal and the video I want to push out in the future when we have the capability of doing it is let's remove the form and let's just have it be a straight chatbot that collects all the data. And then there is no button. Rather, the individual just talks to it and we grab all the information that way. That's currently not possible unless you do a ton of complex work, but this is a good workaround. So let's go ahead and work on this. We're going to say, I'm going to just call it BrewBot. And the prompt placeholder here, we're going to say, have any questions? Question mark. And then generated, I like doing static. And then we can go ahead and say, how can I help you today? Disclosure, if you're familiar with disclosure and you're familiar with other chatbot lesson here, what you can do here is in reality, we can actually change this to any link you'd want to send out. So I can send this to a contact page. I can send this to anything, right? For now, though, I'm going to just leave it like that. Maybe you want to give clarity that it is an automated chatbot response here. Also, one other thing to point out is make sure you save your changes because that will happen. The other thing I want to point out here is this. So notice the markdown guide. So if you're aesthetically trying to change the UI on your chatbot or landing page, we can go ahead and just use this nomenclature. So as you see here, to make this a subheader rather than a header, I would just add another hashtag here. There we go. It made it smaller. To make this bold, so all I'd have to do is grab these 2 little asterisks, put them here, and now it's bold. So this is their way of changing aesthetically how stuff looks. Also, to add a link, as you see here, it's very simple. Basically, let's just go ahead and steal this one so we don't have to do it again. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then I'm going to save this change. I'm going to come back over here, or right here. Now if I put this up here, As you see here, all that shows up is learn more, but the link we go to is the terms of service from Zapier here. So I'm gonna leave that there just so you can understand. That's really cool. If you wanna add more links there, we're gonna go ahead and come back to our chatbot here, and let me go ahead and update this again. Okay, so I'm actually gonna leave this to generated here because just so you can see aesthetically how it looks when you land on the landing page, it might look a little cooler. But what I want to show you in today's video though is the data we're going to load is going to be the FAQ page on this the Web Cafe software website here. As some people were requesting that in my video, how do I upload? Maybe I want to upload more than just a product listing on my website. I want to upload additional information like the FAQ. That being said, that would just be you get your product list, you get your product CSV, and you add additional information. From here though, we're going to go ahead and create this FAQ into a text file. We're going to go ahead and upload to our chatbot here. I'm going to show you how to do that. But let's go ahead and just keep fine tuning and learning more stuff about what we can do with this chatbot. So from here though, I'm going to go ahead and not add directive yet, but I'm going to go ahead and see if we want to do anything for appearance here. So maybe we can expand to, custom on how wide we want the height here. I'm going to just do that. And then for width, we can really make this wide. For now though, I think it's always nice to not narrow, but medium is always good for a chatbot. Center, obviously left, right. So then the next thing here is going to be your OpenAI authentication. From the comments I received, I was under the impression that everyone had access to this, but I found out that you do have to actually pay for the $20 plan to get access to GPT-4. That being said, you can still do this with 3.5. It would require more prompting. From here though, I'm going to put GPT-4 here, and I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And as I said before, $20 a month comparative to paying $1,000+ to an engineer. I don't know, $240 a year comparative. So if I paid $1,000 for an engineer to do this, comparative to me paying $20 a month, that would mean that I could have this up and running for 4 years, because that'd be $240 a month or a year comparative to paying $1,000 for an engineer. Keep that in mind. From here though, everything else is set up perfectly. We're going to go ahead and add that data source, and we're going to show you how to take specific data, and rather than getting uploads on a CSV, we're going to do a text file. For me on Mac OS, it's just called text edit. I'm not sure what it's called on Windows, but I'm assuming there's something very similar to Windows. What we're going to do here is we're going to load our FAQ. I'm showing you done this way because there is going to be a lot of different ways you can approach this, but this is the absolute, you can do this with anything basically. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with this. I'm going to go ahead and say your questions and answered. I'm going to Command C this. I'm going to come over here and Command V this. And then on top of that, I'm going to do some Shift Enters here. And I'm going to give a little bit more context when the bot looks at this. I'm going to say Web Cafe Software FAQ, or we'll spell it out, frequently asked questions. And we can do semicolon here. And I want to make sure this is down so we're not getting cropped out here. And then I'm putting myself in the middle. All right, there we go. And then all I'm going to do here is just copy and paste. So I'm just going to go, how can I utilize AI automations on other languages? I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to come back over here and then just paste the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed this with all the FAQ. So I went ahead and pasted all the FAQ here. And you might be asking yourself, why are we going with this kind of format and this kind of .text? That's because this is going to be as minimum amount of file size as possible, as we are limited to 1 megabyte. But in reality, 1 megabyte is actually pretty large here, as it's 1,000 kilobytes. And specifically in the context of text, it takes a lot of text for you to reach 1 megabyte, a lot more than you'd expect, as I will give you the exact file size of this. But we're going to go ahead and save this. On top of that, if you're saving on Apple's side or however you're saving and you're having issues, just type in the file's endpoint and then just go to a converter. So for example, I want to a converter like this, RTF to text file, and hit download, and now we have the text file. Okay, perfect. So now that we have the text file, and for your reference, that was only 3 kilobytes, I'm going to go ahead and add the source. So I'm going to go to files here, point out 2 things here before I do that. First thing I want to point out is that tables is coming soon. This is going to be amazing. This is going to allow us to take the, that tables I showed earlier, all that data. Let's say we have 1,000 leads, or we have 1,000 endpoints, or 1,000 rows. We maybe import our Excel sheet, whatever data it may be. That means we're going to be able to create chatbots in the future that's going to be able to conversate with our data and really allow us to find certain information fast. That's cool for tables. Web pages, I think that's self-explanatory. If you ever wanted to build a GPT chatbot like we showed you in that website one, but maybe not train it on the product data, but just everything on the website, that's going to be useful there. For now though, we're going to put file here and we're going to add that source. Perfect. So I went ahead and did that. I'm going to add source here. Now I've had other comments in the other video that there was issues when you kind of were nearing or approaching 1 megabyte when it was, over 900 kilobytes. So keep that in mind. This is purely has to do with Zapier's backend and their ability to handle this. Also keep in mind that a lot of this technology is brand new. Therefore, we are going to run into a little bit of errors in the beginning of it. But what's great is that if you get in early like this, you're going to be able to start leveraging it a lot better as, we'll grow with it basically. From here though, we went ahead and we have a FAQ from Web Cafe. For here, we're going to go ahead and say show a custom message if it doesn't know an answer, because it is pertinent that we don't provide information that is outside the scope of what we provided. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I am not sure of this. Go ahead and reach out here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the link. So I'm going to put in the link to the contact page here. And then as you see here, this should be sufficient. So we have our data source here. And remember from the last one, we're going to go ahead and copy that for the directive. And then we have our custom message that has the link to our contact page. You could leave that as letting AI fill in the space. If it's not too pertinent that the answers have to be exactly trained on your data, then you can go ahead and proceed with that. From here though, everything seems standard. Let's go ahead and set up a directive. We're going to say, you are a web cafe helper. This, we are going to help potential leads with any questions they may have about our software. Do comma or period here, and then potential, and then, oh, no. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make this down low. I'm gonna say, here is our FAQ, semicolon, web tags. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, if they request to speak to someone, provide this link. So this is like little stuff we have to ensure we add so that we don't go and find ourselves in, positions where it gives an inaccurate answer or an answer that we don't like. So for us, we're going to make sure that we always have the ability so that the individual could reach out to us. Also, you can add it as the link right there if you chose to do so. From here though, we're going to go and say, you are a web cafe helper. We are going to help potential leads with any questions they may have about our software, provided that the data source we're using is named FAQ Web Cafe Text. So we're making sure we're identifying that. And then if they request to speak to someone, provide this link. On top of that, you could, in theory, do a couple more things here. So let's say we do this. If they request XYZ, provide them with this link. So how is this important? How can we leverage this? So a couple of things. First thing we can leverage this on is if maybe you have a link to a PDF. So a lead's talking to you, this is a real estate firm, a lead's talking about a certain property in this lead contact form, and they want more information about a property. So when the bot talks about that property, it links to a PDF / a page that the person could go to and learn more about. So that's important. The other thing, basically, this allows you to start proctoring the bot in more of a way that it can start reacting to certain actions that you expect to come from the consumer based off your experience in the industry, based off what you would probably assume an individual would ask before filling out a contact form. So keep that in mind. You can use that kind of formatting and that kind of dictation in order to ensure that the outputs are consistent, at least in that respect. So from here though, this is sufficient for what I need. What I'll say here is your directive can be pretty long, but don't write a whole essay out, all right? So what I would suggest you do is keep the rule of thumb of less than 500 words. So if you're really prompting at this and you keep going, go ahead and Command A, Command C, go to a word counter website, Command V it. Am I the only one that speaks like that when it comes to like short keys or shorthand keys, like copy and pasting? That was really random, but go ahead and go there, paste it, see how many words. If it's sub 500, you're still good to go. If you start going over 500, if you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, you know that basically even if it can handle a 300 book in its initial prompt, you're not always incentivized to do super long prompts. With that being said though, we're gonna go ahead and save this. And just for your understanding, creativity, the metric here, I don't know why I'm saying it a lot, sorry y'all, is between predictable and random. In this context, you wanna be sub 0.5 with it being around 0.3, 0.4, as you don't want it too random, as end of the day, we're a business here and we don't want it talking about some random thing or really going on tangents. So keep it down between 0.3. This just ensures that it really stays within your directive. You can go all the way down to 0.1 if you choose to do so as well. From here though, we went ahead and set up our landing page. So let's go and try it out. When you try it out, we're gonna go ahead and need to provide some test data so that when we go ahead and proceed with the automations that you're about to learn in the next stage of this tutorial, we have something to work with. With that being said here, that is with the auto-generative introduction, which may actually be pretty cool for the user to see it live talking to you, right? One other thing I want to point out here before we actually do this is let's go ahead and change the message that we get when a individual clicks I'm interested, as we don't want it to be not good. Actually, this isn't an action, so we're fine. It'll just take us directly to the page here. So coming over here, let's go ahead and test it out. We're going to put in Tom here, and I'm going to put in our courses account. Okay, we're going to put our courses account here, our business size. Remember, this is important for us to understand what funnel we're going down. So we're going to do 1 to 10 employees. Also, on top of that, we have this right here. So we're going to be like, hey, I was wondering about the licenses for your software. So this is part of the FAQ. This is a common answer or common question. It's because we have provide commercial and individual business license for our software here. And there we go. Individual and commercial licenses was trained on the FAQ and trained on the data. So someone could keep going down this hole here and maybe ask some questions that they need to understand. And then once they feel comfortable with proceeding, they can come up here. And as you see here, we can click this link as well. And they can click, I'm interested. When they proceed to click that link, this data is going to be pushed towards that table. On top of that, this is the thank you page that we showed earlier here that we can go ahead and customize and edit, but I'm going to go ahead and let y'all do that, as that's pretty just standard stuff for a end conversion event. So once we have the end conversion event, we can come over to lead captures here. I'm going to go ahead, as you see here, we have our relevant data. So since we got a default table here, I'm going to go ahead and delete this because this isn't going to be prevalent to me. So I'm going to delete that. Also, I can delete this as well. So I'm going to show you two main things here. First thing I'm going to show you how to do is make an automation post-conversion that does it automatically without me coming into the table. The second thing I'm going to show you is how to make an automation that we can actually trigger ourselves within the table. That might sound crazy if you have no clue about this ecosystem, but we're going to learn a lot right now, so let's do it. All right, to make this simple as possible, all we're going to do is come over to actions here. We're going to add an action. Our action is going to be run a zap. As you see here, we have different information here. So if an individual were to hit I am interested, we could also show a notification message so it shows up as a little pop-up. Keep that in mind, test around, see if you like it. We could also make it so it navigates to an external URL. So maybe it goes to your website, maybe it goes to a video, whatever it may be. Nice little landing page tip there. But we're going to run a zap in this context. So I'm going to hit create zap here. And as you see here, we have a new zap, and now it is connected with this specific lead form. And gives us a nice little name when a new contact us form submission is created, and it even gives us a trigger. So it's already connected to our underlying interfaces that we created here, making it super simple for us. So as you see here, we got our test data that I put in earlier. We got our email, we got the name, and we got the employees. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed here. This is gonna be pertinent on however you typically handle leads, and now we're just gonna make it simple for you. So basically from here, we're gonna add the first metric of paths. Here's what paths is gonna allow us to do. Paths is gonna allow us to basically make it so whatever the most pertinent piece of data that's in that information, we're gonna make sure we send them down different, routes, right? Think of it like don't think of it like A/B test. Don't think of it like that. We're gonna go ahead and just hit paths here, and our main relevant pertinent piece of information that we care about in this context is how large the business is. So as you see here, we got 1 to 10 employees. So for path A, we're gonna have it so that people that have 1 to 10 employees goes down this path. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and set up a filter or this certain path. We're gonna do 1 to 10 employees. And here we go. Make sure you spell it exactly how it is received. So there we go. So if I hit continue here, we're gonna get a green light. Green light. Come over to path B here. This is where we're gonna set up if an individual were to hit that same data point, as you see here, business size, but it exactly matches our second data point, which was 11 to 50. There we go. So we're gonna get a yellow. It's not gonna go down this path because they are not that size. Finally, we're gonna add another path here, which is gonna be the final data point. And to answer that question, you might be thinking to yourself is how many of these paths we can do in one block. I don't know if there's a certain cap to it. I just know that they went past 7 now. So it might be 10, it might be 15, whatever it may be, it's a lot. So knowing that, We're going to go ahead and say exactly matches, and then we're going to do our final data point here, which is going to be 51 plus. So I'm going to do 51 plus and proceed. So now that we have been able to take this lead information, and when we receive this lead, we're going to be able to treat every single one of these leads differently depending on how they responded to our contact form. So knowing this, let's say I would treat the 1 to 10 employee different than the 51 plus employee company due to XYZ reasons, maybe price discrimination, whatever it may be. This is how you can proceed. So I'm only going to build out one because that's all that matters. So whatever your end lead, like however your operations are, this is where you can put them here. So if your operation is we send a Slack message that we just got a lead for XYZ, if your operation is that we send them a certain type of PDF because we got this type of lead, whatever your operation is, this is where you're going to place it. So then your next question might be, Corbin, I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure how it works. Check out my playlist here called Zapier for AI. We go over, it's basically going over everything you need to know about artificial intelligence and integrating these different apps. You can learn a ton and you can start doing this yourself. Because comparatively, automation engineers cost around 300, 250 USD an hour. So knowing this though, we're going to go ahead and just do something simple here just so you can get an idea of this. And then I'm going to show you another automation trick. I'm going to go ahead and just send an email to myself, and we're going to go ahead and proceed like that. So I'm going to do send email, and we're going to continue here. We're going to choose our courses account, continue, and we're going to go ahead and just send it to ourselves. There we go. Now, in theory, you do have data you're playing around with here. So as you see here, we have the individual's email, their name, and the data right here. So you could do something with this within this whole process. So maybe instead of the two being a fixed text, I would rather it be a variable text. So because this example is the actual email, I'm gonna just put it as a variable text. On top of that, we have a ton of different information when it comes to Gmail. I want to point out something else. Gmail, in order to integrate it with automations, Zapier is going to cost you $7 USD a month. It's going to require a workspace account or a business workspace account. You can't access the API without this. Knowing that though, we're going to go and proceed here. We're going to go ahead and say, new lead. And what's cool here is we can put on our body whatever we may do. This is relevant information here. So maybe I just want to put in the individual's name, comma, size of company, and whatever their email was. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed from here. We can add a ton of different stuff, signatures, labels. Check out my channel here. We go over all that. Hit test step here, and then this will send me an email. Checking out our email here, as you see, we got it up here, new lead. It has the relevant data points found in that lead form. So now you understand the process of handling automations automatically when an individual submits. Let's go ahead and create a different Zap here though, which is a little bit different, where we're gonna actually make a manual automation, which kind of sounds incorrect because manual and automation doesn't sound like it should go together, but we can do it still. So I'm gonna go add another field here. I'm gonna go ahead and say, let's say send email, or maybe send lead PDF, whatever it may be. For me though, we're gonna go ahead and change this to a checkbox, and we can leave center, icon, doesn't matter. We're gonna do that. So now that we have this checkbox, your question might be, why did we create a checkbox? That's because we're gonna go ahead and create a Zap for this checkbox. So we're gonna do create Zap. So as you see here, it is basically that exact row here, and we're connected to that row. So knowing that we're connected to that row now, because we have the table ID of lead captured leads, we have the trigger field of send lead PDF, we can go ahead and proceed here. So what we can do is when that is clicked, e.g. when I click this is going to trigger it for this row. Now you see why this is more complex in Excel. So knowing this, we can go ahead and grab, because I've already clicked it before, we can go ahead and grab and proceed with this data. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and just set up another Gmail block here. I'm not even gonna actually need to fill it out, but as you see here, this is what's gonna incur. Let's say you can now set up automation. So we have a lead, we're dealing with a lead in the certain PDF, and maybe this checkbox is like, I need to send a direct message to someone. Maybe this checkbox is, I need to delete this person from XYZ thing. Whatever it may be, this is up to your discretion. So what that means though is that when I click this automation will incur, and I will have the specific data found within that row, e.g. Tom, courses, 1 to 10 employees, in this built out flow. Just to prove it to you, we're going to continue here, and we're going to see a blank screen. See here, we got Tom, we got the email, and all the relevant information associated with that row. We're good to go. So that is really cool here. Let me go ahead and show you this all working and the entire process fleshed out. I should do so. I just deleted the other paths, but obviously you would have those. I'm gonna hit publish here, so we go live here, and then I'll explain a little bit of post automation and some stuff you need to understand about that. So now that we're live, we have a little check mark here. I'm gonna come back to our lead form here, and actually what I'm gonna do, just so you can get a perspective on this, is for that additional action here, we're gonna go ahead and show a notification, say, PDF coming soon, whatever it may be. For your context, as I said before, you don't actually need to have this anyways, but aesthetically this might look a lot better for you and your brand if you choose to do this. From here though, let's go and fill this out again and see what we come up with. All right, so I'm gonna put my name here, was put Jim, put my email here, and then business size we'll put 11 to 10, so, or 1 to 10, so because we have it set up like that way. We have our nice little chat bot here. I'm interested. We got the notification, PDF coming soon. We're sent to our thank you page, and then coming over here, we should see that automatic email or whatever process you have. And as you see, we got it. Perfect. There we go. So what did we learn today? We learned how to connect the entire Zapier ecosystem to work together. We learned how to build out a chatbot that's trained on our website's data, have it integrated into a lead form so we can increase conversion events. We've learned how to use the data in tables in a actual true automation and a manual click automation. And of course, we've learned overall how to do this for the low price of 20 USD a month. So knowing that, make sure to leave a like if you felt like you learned something today. If this is your first time seeing me and this channel, you can want to make sure to subscribe, as I'm giving real pragmatic advice when it comes to just software, automations, and AI. This one wasn't too much on AI. Actually, the whole chatbot was AI, but yeah, so that kind of works on that. If you want to learn more about just Zapier and automations, I did a whole playlist that I'll actually link to at the end here. This is basically a playlist that I dive into how to start leveraging Zapier with AI, content like this that you may really like. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for tuning in. And yes, surprise, I'm an AI avatar. Make sure to explore more here at Corbin AI, where we demystify AI for your personal and business life. Until next time.